Hey guys, it's me, Joe.
And me, Other Joe.
Other Joe is here too. And today we're reviewing and talking about and discussing the first episode of the Tower of God anime. If you haven't seen my reaction, that's also on the channel, but today we're mostly just gonna break it down, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and all that stuff. Something important to keep in mind is that the first half of this video is spoiler free, and then we'll specifically tell you once we're getting into spoiler territory. So for now, anime onlys, you guys are fine. But yeah, let's just jump into it. So, Joe, what did you think of the first episode?
I think that episode 1 was... It was serviceable. It was good. It's good. It's fine for the first episode. I think it's good. It's well done.
It's well done.
I think that it does everything it needs to do for the first episode. It didn't bore me. It didn't bore people too much with like exposition, which I was a little worried about. It didn't try and like action it up to make it not Tower of God. I think it did fine.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I was, so would you say that you were impressed by it? Did it exceed your expectations or did it just meet your expectations?
Well, that is difficult because one episode is tough to judge. I would say it has met my expectations. That's fair. I think that's how it's been. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's exceeded my expectations, but I think that it is, so far so good. I think it did a good job of setting things up. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about how, like the hardcore fans aren't super crazy, but I think that they can still go back and do more. I think it's tough to say for an episode 1, but I think it does everything good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for me, it exceeded my expectations possibly a bit more, and I think, and I've actually seen it 3 times because I watched it with a couple other people, so I've had time to think about it more and process everything. There were some things that I wasn't the biggest fan of, so I'm not going to say it's 100% perfect in every single way, but I was talking to you, Joe, earlier. I think that for an anime adaptation, it was almost perfect. Like, there aren't any huge things that I was like, oh, why'd they do that? Or why'd they keep this out? Everything sort of made sense. I really don't think that they could have done much better of a job without sacrificing other things like you said, being too boring, doing too much exposition right away, not enough action, introducing people to the world in the wrong way. So I honestly think it was kind of amazing, but not perfect. And let's talk about that. So, in your opinion, what are some things that you were a little disappointed by?
It's not really it's not so much as a big disappointment or anything, but I did feel like kind of we needed more of Yuri. Yuri and Evan just kind of show up. I don't know, I didn't get too much. I like Yuri's voice, I like how she looks, but I didn't get too much of an impression from her so far, And as someone who really likes Yuri, I think she should have had more of a special entrance.
Yeah. And do you think in comparison to the webtoon, do you think the webtoon did a better job at that? Like introducing Yuri to us and giving her more of an entrance?
I think so, because we do have more of a feel of Yuri's personality in the webtoon. She's this, we know she's this princess, we know... Oh, does that go into spoiler territory? No,
No, they already mentioned that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, she's a princess. She is being guided by Evan, and we know she doesn't like to listen to Evan, despite Evan knowing basically everything. So
yeah. They hinted at that in the episode. Like, navigators are kind of overpowered with.
I feel like that tells us a lot about Yuri right away when we first see her, and in the anime we it's not so much. She's very much just like she wants to protect. She's helpful, right? She shows up, she kicks Bomb, and then it's like, what are you doing? And then she's helpful. She gives him Black March, and then she's willing to go in and save Bomb after he got eaten. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we could have gotten more.
I do agree. I think I'm a little torn about this because I'm not to the point. So some fans are saying that we should have, along those lines, that they should have included that scene with Yuri and Evan rushing towards Heden's floor, and on their way they're discussing Bomb and discussing Irregulars, discussing the tower. I think it would have been cool to include that. However, some people really, really wanted that exposition. Like I said, the hardcore fans, and I honestly don't mind that they didn't include that. It's kind of unnecessary, and it's something that I think they'll continue to talk about. So for example, Yuri talking to Bomb about irregulars, or Yuri talking to Evan about irregulars. It's okay that they didn't include all of it, because I think that down the line, we're going to hear more and more about that. Like you mentioned earlier before we started this, maybe from Leiro Row, or maybe we'll get flashbacks to it, or later on. We'll see, but I think that
they gave us a lot from Bomb and Rachel, and all of that was really good.
Yeah, and I think it's needed, like we needed to establish that right away.
Like the whole very start of the thing is just like this is the story of Rachel and her journey up the tower, and Bomb who couldn't live without her.
Right. Like that is the story.
Those are like the first lines, and when we watch the show, right?
Yeah, they really want you to understand that this is the point of the show. You're following Bomb, who's following Rachel. Like that's the plot, and I don't think they didn't want to overload viewers with a ton of new characters and a ton of information. I mean, if you think about it, it's hard for us and even you hardcore fans, because we know this show so well, inside out, or some of us more than others, but we understand all these concepts. But for these people, they don't even know what the tower is, or pockets, or regulars, They don't really understand what floors are yet. Or, like Yuri mentioned the 20th floor, so they're like, oh, there's at least 20 floors. Like, people don't understand any of this, so you can't scare them off.
Don't really have I feel like even we as fans don't even have a full scope of how big the tower is.
Well, we don't, but yeah, for them it's like they know nothing. And for us, we know a little bit more than that, but not much.
We've been with this series for like 4 years. We still don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what they did was necessary, so I don't blame them for that. As far as animation goes, do you have any opinion about the animation?
I wasn't expecting the big fish thing to be pretty jacked. Like, I noticed he's got arm wing things.
Right.
He's pretty buff, man.
No, dude, he works out.
I wasn't ready.
That guy works out, dude. It's kind of sad that he tore him up at the end.
Yeah, he just gets obliterated off screen.
That also was not in the original. I was a little bit like, oh, disturbing when I saw that. But yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned the eel. I think the eel was so well animated. Like, I love the art style of the show itself, but any clip with the eel when he's just swimming around or flying around, I was just like, my jaw was open. I was like, dang, this looks amazing. Like, especially in comparison to the rest of it. Although I do think it all looked great. I would be lying if I said there weren't a few moments, like 3 or 4 moments, where I was like, ooh, I wish that was drawn a little better or animated a little better. Like, there's a couple character models or clips that I felt like were kind of rough. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you agree with that?
Like who? Like who, for example?
What was I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm trying to think of specific examples. Like, I think the movement itself was fine. There's a couple of moments maybe with Rack that I was a bit like, it almost just looks, I wanted more depth, more maybe, it just looks like a drawing, and I was hoping for more depth with his face and everything. But I mean, not Rack in general, just a couple of moments with Rack. A couple of moments with Evan too, where he looked a bit too flat, I think. But that's it. Like, that's really me nitpicking. I think that's like 1% out of the 99% of the other 99%.
This is where I say you probably prepared more than me, because I didn't notice that at all. I was just very excited to hear Rack. He sounds exactly how I imagine. I really enjoyed Rack's introduction. They didn't quite keep the moment where Rack looks at Anak and is like, maybe she's a bit too strong.
Yeah, that's kind of true. He looks at that and he's like, too strong. Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's my worthy prey.
Right. It's more like he looks at it and he kind of gets freaked out. He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a presence,
Maybe a little too strong for my hunt.
Yeah, he doesn't say that, but we know he's thinking that, because Rack would never admit to such a thing. But
I'm excited for like anyone who hasn't read Tower of God. They're probably thinking Rack is this like crazy serious character, but
we'll see what happens with Rack. But
next episode
we'll start to get to know him a little bit more. But no, and honestly, it could just be my opinion on the whole art style on the animation thing, because I absolutely love the art style. There's some people who just think it looks ugly, And I think that couldn't be farther from the truth. I think they did a really good job of matching SIU's art style, but still making it look like really good. You know what I'm saying? Like it looks like SIU.
She looks exactly like she does in the
Crown
in the manhwa.
Yeah, or the manhwa, right?
It's crazy.
All the characters look like their characters, and the ones that like look different, that I think they look better.
They even have Endorsi's horn.
They actually, there's so many people that after watching these trailers were like, Endorsi has a horn? Because I don't know, SIU, he was
kind of hard to notice now, but
it's hard to notice. Like it gets better as the art style gets better in the original and the webtoon, but yeah, when you first read it, it's so barely noticeable. I don't know if it's because of the art style or whatnot, but it's hard to notice. But overall, the art style was incredible. And can we talk about the music, dude? The music, like the OST. Like we can talk about the opening and ending in a second, but the background music, holy cow! I was fanboying the entire time.
I didn't notice.
Before I watched it. Did you not notice?
I actually didn't notice. But dude, I mean, to be fair, that's what background music does.
It's kind of bad if it's. Well, that's true. Its goal is to blend in with the scene. It's meant
to enhance.
Exactly.
Not to take over.
Yeah. No, but it's done by my favorite anime music composer ever, so I was on the lookout for Kevin Penkin. Yeah, he's my favorite. He's done Made in Abyss and Rising of the Shield Hero. Anyway, he was, I don't know, I was on the lookout for it, but it sounded incredible. And then let's talk about the opening and ending before we get into spoiler territory. So... You go first. First impressions. What was that?
So Stray Dogs did the opening.
Stray Dogs.
And I liked it a lot. Yeah, isn't that? Isn't it Stray? What is it?
It's Stray Kids.
Stray Kids. Sorry. Oh, I'm thinking of. You know, I just actually read the new episode of Tower of God today because I missed it. So I had that stuff.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
I had the whole thing in my head, like with very minor spoiler with Yama and stuff in the newest episode, which was episode, I don't remember,
like 450 or something,
whatever the week of April 1st was.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, guys. Don't attack Joe. It's because a lot of people on the channel are now Stray Kids fans. But Tower of God,
Sachi haters, likers,
Sachi haters.
I'm ready for you.
A lot of the Tower of God focus has been towards canines. Let's just say that in the recent chapters, so that makes total sense. No,
we're getting off topic.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I like it. I like that it's not like too like in your face. It's got the same kind of, it builds up. I'm not very good at talking about music.
No, you're
just
good.
want you to know that, everyone. I can talk about analysis and story, but music.
Whew, it's a whole nother story.
I like the parts with the boom boom and it's not too, it doesn't hook you in right away. It gets to a point like maybe 45 seconds in where it's like...
It starts to get real, and it's like, whoa. Well, yeah, I think are you talking about like audibly? You're talking about like the audio specifically?
Yeah, I guess it's more of like a singer song than an instrumental. Like, God.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, especially, it's done by a K-pop group too, so that, makes sense. I think that, the music is just so good. It sounds amazing. I think you're right. It starts off kind of peaceful and nice, and then it starts to get like more action-packed, and then it starts blending the two together. I think it fits so well.
Peaceful and nice is maybe not the right words, but I'd say it's more like a. It starts. It's not calm. It's not like. It just starts, and it feels right, and then it builds up even more.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's true. It's just it's like weirdly mysterious and soothing. It's kind of like it's like, whoa, this is a story about stuff. And then it shifts and it picks up and it's like, whoa. Wow, the way I'm describing music is 100 times worse than you.
No way. No way.
Visually, though,
leave a comment below. Who explained the opening worse? Me or other Joe?
Bad. Joe, Perfect Joe, myself, or Imperfect Joe. We can see there. So that's an inside joke. So I think visually it looks amazing as well. I think at first I was a little confused. I wasn't sure if it was like a first episode sort of opening. I wasn't sure if it was like, oh, these are the credits, like this is only going to be shown for the first episode. But then I started realizing, no, this is the opening. And at first I was like, oh, I wanted to see more characters. I wanted to see more stuff. But the more I watched it, I was like, yeah, I can get behind this. I can get behind an opening that's just around Bomb. Like, I'm totally cool with that, you know? What do you think?
It definitely is. The story is about Bomb, for the most part. We can't really go into the... I think for this part, for season 1 of Tower of God, the opening should be all about Bomb and Rachel. I think that because we know their story the best right now. Maybe for season 2, we should like, or maybe even like halfway to season 1. I don't know. It could go more into Kun because then we'll understand more of Kun. I don't know. I feel like anime intros, they try and shovel in too many characters all at once, and it was just like, oh, who's this character? Like for example, like the Full Metal Alchemist one, that's like, oh, who? Like they throw in like lust and greed and envy, and it's like, oh, who are these guys? And it's like, they'll be established in episode like 15 or something.
Yeah, like you have to keep watching it and not knowing who they are. Mm-hmm. That's true, and like a lot of openings also get into spoiler territory.
Like Tower of God absolutely needs to not be spoiled at all.
Oh my gosh.
We absolutely there are hints dropped in the manhwa, but for an anime we need less hints. I think we need even less hints than we did. we need the hook to get them, like really get them, like accidentally accidentally hook them, like where it causes permanent damage.
Okay,
you know.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. Permanent damage hook?
Because how we got permanent damage from that too.
Oh my gosh.
From what happened.
Yeah, for sure. This season's gonna get crazy, guys. But let us know what you think about that. Now we're gonna get into spoiler territory. So if you have not read the webtoon, you have not caught up with season 1, we'll stay mostly within season 1, then you have been warned. So now that we're in spoiler territory, I want to say one of the things that I was bummed. Wait, what did you say?
Now you got spoiled, chat. Everyone, you got spoiled.
Wait, what did you say?
I said Paul transforms.
Oh. Dude, I'm so excited for that.
That's all. That makes it. If you're still here, you guys who don't want to be spoiled, that'll make no sense.
But yeah. Don't worry about it.
When the anime gets to season 22.
Yeah.
You'll know.
Season 22, they're gonna be like, oh, that video from 20 years ago. Yeah. No, but I think one of the things from the episode that I wish they included was Heeden referencing Rachel a little bit. And I've seen some other comments about this, and maybe you disagree with me here, but there's a moment where Yuri and Evan leave, Bomb's gone to the next floor, Heeden turns around and he says, I wonder what'll happen next, and he specifically references Rachel. This is spoiler territory.
Not specifically, but he says
Miss. He calls her Miss. Right, but like he's
and we don't know why. We don't know what he means when we're reading. I think that part, because this is episode 1, I think like we could absolutely still get that part, because I don't think Yuri and Evan have really left.
I mean, they know run what they out need of to the do. Room.
Yeah, I do think we're gonna get to, we will get that scene.
We're definitely gonna get that scene, but my point is more, I wish they had alluded to that early on, like they do in the webtoon.
I just think episode 1 is good because it was relatively focused. It was focused on what it needed to establish. People go to a tower, Bomb is following Rachel. They didn't go into like jihad, they didn't talk about Evan, they didn't even talk about Evankel, they didn't talk about rankers or anything.
They didn't even mention that Yuri was a ranker. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
That's all going to be for later, I think.
For later, probably in episode 2.
So we don't need the miss, because I think almost it's like, because okay, from the anime's perspective, we've only met like 4 characters, right?
Yeah.
And Miss can reference 2 people who have shown up so far. At that point.
Ooh, that's true.
Rachel and Yuri.
You're thinking
and Yuri
it could be,
had left. So
you're thinking it could be too obvious.
I think it is. I think it is too obvious.
Yeah, especially because in the webtoon, you've read 4 or 5 chapters by that point, but in an anime, you've just been getting all this information left and right. So
exactly, it's visual. Like, you see Rachel leave, you see her, like, that wasn't even in episode 1, I don't think.
I think that honestly, the opening, the pacing of this episode, everything, in my opinion, works together really well to sort of set up this season as a sort of prequel season, because honestly, season 1 is a bit of a prequel to Tower of God as a whole, because season 1 is all about world building, it's all about character introduction, it's all about setting everything up for what's about to happen. I feel like the true story starts at the end of season 1.
There hasn't been like any kind of like crazy background thing going on in the background, but I think we're gonna get there. Like, we've been in a hole, we have been in a Hedon's floor, which is like a cage-ish kind of place, and now and then we're in a field. The backgrounds, they're not super complex, but
you mean like
I know
the
I'm
actual
probably talking about something
backgrounds?
Yeah, like
the art?
Yeah, the actual background art.
Yeah, it's not
super crazy.
It's not, but it actually is better than the original. Like in the cave, Hedon's cave or whatever, the walls were much more colorful and amplified. I don't know, easier to notice, eye-catching. And I still think that, I know what you're saying. That's true. But I think overall, gosh, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. Honestly, I think it was fantastic, and I'm just so happy to see it was trending on Twitter yesterday, and people it was trending, and newcomers are like starting to become obsessed with the series and can't wait for the next episode, which tells me that it did everything right, because I don't know, like, I'm not using that as my only opinion or only reasoning, but I do think that says a lot. I don't know. So
I am not gonna rate it as high as you.
Okay.
But I am optimistic because it seems to be made by people who really do care about Tower of God.
Yes.
Making sure that they get like all the subtle things, but also by like they also have someone there to reel them back and really focus on the storytelling. Understand what like really works, and it's tough to judge on episode 1, but like it doesn't do anything that betrays the series.
Not at all.
So I'm gonna say, but I'm gonna say 7.
7? Okay.
It's hard. Like, overall, not a whole lot really is, besides getting through the first floor. Not a whole lot is really set up. I mean, stuff is set up, but like we understand Rachel, we understand. I mean, that's really it. Hedon is there. Yuri shows up. Evan is smart. And then we get introduced to Rack, which is super cool, and Kuhn's introduction is really cool too. But I mean, we all know the cool stuff Kuhn does is like,
of course,
everything else down the line.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
I honestly think the first episode did a lot. I think it did so much. I think it introduced us to the world mostly, of course. Introduced us to like not too many characters, but I think that's for the better, of course. But I think the main thing it did was introduce you to Bomb and Rachel, and specifically Bomb. And like honestly, that's all it needed to do was introduce you to Bomb and Rachel, and they succeeded at that.
Make you understand what they need to do and why you should care.
Exactly. So honestly, fantastic. Both of us are so excited to keep watching this series. We're gonna try to make these reviews as well. If Joe can keep making them, then we'll keep making them weekly whenever the episode comes out a few days after. But I'm so excited for episode 2, man. Like, this is when everything starts picking up and getting pretty good. So since we're still in spoiler territory, how far do you think episode 2 is going to take us?
I think episode 2 is going to take us right up to Leiboro's test.
Like, it'll end right before, like as it's starting.
We'll be introduced to Leiboro and then we'll stop.
You know, I think it's going to go a bit farther than that. I'm going to make that prediction.
You think?
Yeah, because
I think that we are going to this next episode is going to be about Kuhn and Rack. And we'll have a little bit of Shibisu, a little bit of Anak, and a little bit of Hots.
Yep.
But we'll definitely go more into Kuhn and like what he does and like who he is, because that is also really important, because Kuhn, as I have famously said, is the reason we all kept reading Tower of God.
Dude, you actually caught some flack for that.
Did I?
There was like 1 or 2 comments that were like, the reason we kept reading? No. And I was like, we didn't mean like literally.
I mean,
and like most of us, it was kind of.
he is a really good character. We absolutely need to understand what kind of character he is. Who is not exactly 100% a good guy.
Dude. Oh my god.
He just kind of does whatever he wants, and he doesn't want to be ordered by anyone. Which is like a line I think he says in the show.
Yeah. Well, he mentioned. Well, he's already mentioned that he's like, oh, so you're stooping to being controlled. But
yeah,
I'm not.
I think
I'm not
we need to see. We're gonna see his a lot of his deviousness.
Oh my gosh, dude! I can already see Kun is going to be the fan favorite. I'm gonna see all these anime onlys just.
Is he not the fan favorite already?
He basically is the fan favorite already. I thought Rachel was the fan favorite, wasn't she?
I mean, Rachel is...
Come on, everybody loves Rachel. Right?
A beautiful soul.
She's a beautiful soul.
I cannot think a single bad thing about Rachel.
None of us can. It's impossible. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Go follow Joe on Twitter. I'll link his Twitter in the description down
Dr.
below.
Bonehead,
at Chromix20.
Bonehead.
Yeah,
at
Chromix20. He's an awesome guy, and we're gonna try to keep making videos like this going into the future. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next video. Take care.
Bye-bye.